Hey everyone, welcome to Nerds Talk. I'm Mike.
And I'm Chris.
And today we are doing episode 11 of The Bad Batch. That's right, it's called Devil's Deal. Yeah. And we'll be going through that for you. Again, if you're new to the channel, don't worry, we're not going to spoil it right off the bat. We'll kind of give you our overview thoughts on what we thought of this particular episode. So Chris, take it away, Devil's Deal.
Yeah, so again, I enjoyed it. I'm not sure. So it's a bit of a different episode, to be honest with you.
Yes, definitely different.
I enjoyed it as a Star Wars fan.
Mm-hmm.
I think this one was made for Star Wars fans in mind, not just the casual fans.
Yes, absolutely.
So without going into too much detail, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really nice, and it kind of ties in with earlier things in the series. But overall, thought it was really good. We might be in a different... It all depends on your experiences with Star Wars and what you've seen, what you've watched, and what you've read to get the most out of this episode in particular, for sure. But how about you?
Couldn't agree more. I definitely think that this episode is trying to set something larger up for the future of Star Wars, and that's the most that I can say. I enjoyed it a lot, getting to see more of the Star Wars universe. That's the best I can say.
Yes, exactly.
So that was really cool. I thought, kind of seeing where we're at in the timeline now, but kind of the start of things and how things, because we know how things are going to progress.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So how the start of that and like how we kind of get there and kind of see the beginning of the prequel, so to speak.
Yeah, it's like the prequels where we know Anakin turns into Darth Vader. So we know that process, but not how it happens per se.
Exactly.
So this is kind of similar to that, where this is like a prequel to something that happens in the future in the universe. Yeah. And we're kind of seeing how it develops, which is very exciting.
Yeah, I thought it was a really nice, cool thing. And again, it comes back to like every episode always trying to call back or reminisce or just connect different places, characters, things from all sorts of different medium, whether it's from movies, other shows, video games, comics, books, whatever. They just find a way to just throw things in. And I thought it was really, really cool how they did this.
Yeah.
So.
Now, this one felt more like a Clone Wars episode more than anything else. Like it could have fit right in with season 7 of the Clone Wars if they had an extra episode or arc or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think they could have easily put this in.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you wonder, was that part of his plan? And then because it was done and they kind of let him do another season to bridge, he's like, well, this is how I'll kind of do the things I didn't get to do.
Exactly. I think 100% that this is what he's like, well, I have this medium now that I can kind of use and make it work, essentially. And he probably just tweaked his storyboards a little bit and made it work. So very exciting.
So, I mean, there's our spoiler-free section. Good episode, definite watch. And now we'll jump into the spoiler-heavy section. So if you haven't watched the episode, you want to stop here, watch the episode, then come back so we can reveal, what we're talking about. And with that, I guess we'll dive right in. So Devil's Deal is all about...
Rebels, essentially. Hera from Rebels and Chopper.
Yeah, and her family. Yeah, right?
Yeah, because we see her dad in a Rebels episode. Do we see her mom? I think we see her
mom. I'm pretty sure her mom was dead.
I think so as well.
When she came back to the planet.
Yeah.
In Rebels, when she went back and all that kind of stuff with Thrawn and he had the Calicori.
That's right. He set up his base essentially in the palace that they were fighting in, I believe.
Yes, but I'm pretty sure her mom was dead already. So did she talk about how she was killed or whatever? No,
not that I recall. So I think this is how we will find out.
I think we will definitely find out here
how she dies, and this is really the push that Hera and Chopper get,
and her father to like really
go against the rebellion and start and fight back against them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is an excellent storyline. In the first episode, we saw Kanan, which is also part of Rebels. So it's kind of tying like a. Is this part of the Ezra thing, or will there be another season of Rebels, or will there be an offshoot, or is this is how it started and Rebels is Rebels? So there's lots of things, but it's beautiful that they are able to bring this into frame to show the background of Rebels, which we both agree is one of the best shows the Star Wars has done.
Oh, it's been great, and I love to get to see young Hera. Her starting, she dreams about becoming a pilot. We all know that you're going to be an amazing pilot. Yes. We all know you're going to get there. But seeing her like, I want to do this. And her uncle is basically the one that's training her and getting her into being a spy.
And like fighting for herself and learning, all these tips and tricks and everything. Yeah. So it's kind of funny. This is a Bad Batch episode, but we only see them once for like a quick kind of cameo.
Yeah, it's all about Ryloth.
Yeah.
The whole thing takes place on Ryloth, and the only time we see Bad Batch is because Sid is the informant that the uncle, I can't remember the uncle's name, but basically Hera's uncle, to get guns, to get more weapons, because the Empire's come and basically seize them, and the current Prime Minister, and his name escapes
he was in
now.
Clone Wars as well.
He was
with
the really heavy set Twi'lek. And so he basically agrees to the Empire and says, we're going to get rid of all the weapons. We don't need them anymore. But the uncle doesn't feel right. He doesn't feel like this is peace. He feels like, they shouldn't be
and
defenseless.
Even Hera's mom is kind of similar to the uncle because, she's like, well, they're keeping secrets from us. They're doing a refinery on their planet, Ryloth. But they're not really telling what it's all about. And then she sees gunner turrets, essentially, and things like that. So they were told it wasn't a military base and they're getting rid of all their weapons, but the Imperials are bringing weapons over and they're setting up some sort of base, which is said to be in a refinery, but it's turned out to be more of a military base, which I think, they are refining things, but I think it's to build more machines for the Republic. I think that was one of the
prison
main
camp,
hubs.
Essentially, because we find out in Rebels that they're enslaved.
That's right.
Yeah, and so she's there, and they have a small guerrilla group of people to fight back, and so
the fighters,
and so the uncle and the mom to a certain extent says, we shouldn't give up so easily. We want peace, but we should still always have the ability to defend ourselves should something turn, and I think that's smart. And so they reach out to Sid, and Sid is going to send them weapons at a rendezvous point, which is the time where they meet up with the Bad Batch. And I thought it was a really cool moment because, again, here's where we see Hera get introduced to Omega, and they have a contact, and they're about the same age. So it kind of, again, is setting this up. Are we going to see Omega again? Is there going to be this purpose of, like, she's connected to the Rebels, she's going to have something, maybe a show or something spin-off, and then, now the Rebels are going to surround her. Yeah. Like, there's so much stuff that they could do.
There's supposed to be an Ezra live action, isn't there, with Thrawn and everything?
I heard about that, but I don't know, is it still going to be live action? Is it going to be animated?
I mean, it would be ideal to be animated.
And just continue.
All the characters are animated, all the voices are there. Everything would be very well done animated-wise. Yeah. I feel.
If they're doing live action, I would assume they'd be introduced in Ahsoka's show because she is hunting down Thrawn and looking for Ezra or whatever, right? But she specifically said Mandalorian, where's Thrawn? Her goal is to get Thrawn. I'm assuming because wherever Thrawn is probably where Ezra is.
Yeah.
But I don't think she had that direct connection with Ezra as much, like his buddy friendship, as much as,
Sabine and the other rebels, they had that, he was part of the team essentially. Well, he was not essentially, he was part of the team.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting.
Yes.
I think at the very least we'll see a live action Thrawn in Ahsoka show. Will we see Ezra show up there? It's a possibility. We know that again, spoilers for Rebels. Kanan is no longer with us, but he does have a son with Hera. We could see the son possibly. Right? There's so many things that we can pick up with, and I do think Omega is definitely going to show up outside of this show. I think she's going to show up. They're setting her up, having all these interactions for a reason, and I think it's either Book of Boba Fett, being a sister to Boba Fett. They're really going to drill in that. And maybe, maybe in that time period, she is holed up with Hera. Maybe there's a relationship there and she joins the Rebel cause or something. And so maybe she's going to be on the show. I don't know, but I think there's a reason why they're connecting.
I mean, they're really pumping her high, which is great because she's a strong, young female character. Mm-hmm. And now I have another guess of what her power is. I think they might have tried to mix all the Bad Batch abilities into her now. Maybe not. Maybe not force ability, but more of
like a jack of all trades versus.
Yeah. Like they're like, oh, we did all these experiments on these individuals. Let's combine them all into one. She can be the best of all the elite troopers. She was able to snipe like Crosshair was. She picks up tracking and things like and strategic like Hunter does. Mm-hmm. With Tech, she's learning the gadgets. She's learning. So Tech won't let her fly, we learn in this episode, until she memorizes all the buttons and controls and everything on the ship. But she was able to pick it up to Hera and tell her what all the things were very quickly. So she seems very technical as well and smart that way. And then Wrecker, she likes the fun. She doesn't mind mixing it up if she needs to, and the weapons and everything like that.
And she's a strategist, we find out.
Yeah. So I think they kind of tried to mix like an ideal trooper essentially and see how she works out that way. Yeah,
that's very possible. And being that she is the prime or the closest to the original DNA, she would be very close to, or almost exact like a Boba Fett in terms of how close they are to Jango Fett. So
that's right.
She is going to be very powerful. She's going to be very skillful. And I think that's very, very quickly shaping up to kind of, here's the question. She's being raised and groomed by the Bad Batch, but does something happen and she fall to the wayside? Does she become a mercenary?
Or could she be the yin to the yang of Boba Fett? Maybe Boba Fett's trying to take over and she's trying to stop him.
True.
Maybe they're butting heads, or
But he did seem to join up with Mandalorian very easily. He could have just been like, "I'm taking you down, fight him, take his stuff back." But he teamed up with him. As well, he does have a code. Yeah. He joined him on his mission to get Grogu back.
Gave him a promise, and he stuck to his promise.
And he fulfilled it.
Yeah.
And then he went back with Fennec and killed Bib Fortuna. And he's like, "This is my place now," which is cool.
Yeah.
But it kind of makes you wonder, like, everyone saw him as, like, he's just a bounty hunter, but he did side a lot with the Empire. But now
where the money was.
But now we're proven that he does have a code and he's willing to help.
Yeah,
those who are.
I mean, the Empire were in charge, and they were the most powerful during his time when he was working with the Empire. So it's not like he could. Maybe he did work for the rebels or did things when they could pay him, but we never saw it on the film. Maybe we'll learn in the Book of Boba Fett, or maybe even in some other series that he did jobs with the rebels or helped them out or whatever it may be.
He did hate Jedi because of Mace Windu killing his father.
Yes.
And we see that in the Clone Wars.
Yes.
But, things have come a long way and things may have changed. We'll have to wait and see. But, I mean, we've only seen him interact right now with Mandalorian and he's no Jedi. Right? He hasn't come across with Ahsoka or anything like that. So maybe in the Book of Boba Fett, if he does show up with, this is after the movie, so you wouldn't see like Kenobi or anything. But if he bumps up with Luke after the initial combat, will there be a scene? Well, I don't know. It'll be pretty interesting to see kind of who they introduce and how they do it.
Yeah, definitely. But they have, they've been so smart with it, especially with Filoni and Favreau. They've just been really, really smart about really catering to the Star Wars fan base and giving them what they want, or because they are the fans essentially as well, and they know everything front to back essentially, and they're trying to get back and make it legit and not crazy or silly or just for money. They're doing things for a reason and a purpose.
That's right. Now, just to give a quick recap of the show, the main leader, the husky blue Twi'lek, I can't remember his name right now. He is pretty much in bed with the Empire. And we see that
money, he takes
and so he does not like the Syndulla family. They are higher up. They have the favor of the people, and so while he can't just kill them, arrest them, he doesn't want them around. And so we see that very clearly in the episode when he's trying to find a way to get rid of them.
And he's telling the Empire, "This is your problem." He's drilling it in.
Yes, get rid of them.
These will be the people that cause the most trouble. They have the voice of the people. They will be able to do a revolt if anything happens and things like that.
Yeah, and so as the episode progresses, they find there's a specific clone trooper, which I don't remember if he has a name, but he's got a teal.
Yeah,
looks like Rex, but he's got a teal pad instead of a dark blue pad.
Toner or trucker or.
I can't remember.
I think it starts with a T, but it's definitely a new trooper.
And so he's there with his helmet off and everything, and he seems to like friends of the people or friends of the Syndullas at some point. But obviously he's chipped, and so he's going to do what the Empire requires. And so they're caught, Hera is caught spying on the facility. And so he says, "Listen, because of our relationship, I'm not going to arrest you, but don't do this again."
He says he's kind of in a tight spot with the Empire, which was funny. The troopers and the Empire kind of. He seemed a bit different as well. Maybe the chip was wearing off. How long?
It was interesting because most of them were like, "You're disobeying, you're under arrest," and he was very much like, "Listen, we have a relationship, I'm gonna let you go." No other clone has under the Empire's influence would do that. So he did seem different, but at the same time, when the Empire had orders for him, he followed through. So it was an interesting kind of situation with him, and I don't know, maybe that's why he had his helmet off. They wanted him to stand out, apart from the other clones on the planet. But he basically gave them a chance to when the main guy finds out that she was involved and they're on their way back, when they head off to go get the arms deal,
she gets talked into joining her uncle because she's like, "Oh, I'm not allowed," but he's like, "Oh, I was going to let you fly,"
and that's what she wants to do.
And then,
so they peel off, and so Crosshair shoots a targeting tracking beacon on it. They head off, meet the Bad Batch, do the whole exchange, get the weapons, come back. And so he has an Empire crew waiting for them. They get them arrested. They check the ship, see that they're carrying illegal contraband, or in this case, weapons. And so when they radio it in, he says, I want them arrested. And obviously they can't frame the parents. The Emperor says, we don't have proof that they are involved, but the daughter is. So he says, okay, let's go. And she's tried for treason. Let's kill the daughter. and that'll essentially draw the parents out.
And then the trooper actually informs them that she was caught and that they've been trialed already. And they said, but she hasn't even had a real trial.
That's right.
She's been, caught.
And she's like, but she's a child, and they're like, we don't care. We're doing this. So they do it. The word gets to the parents, so they head off to go intercept essentially this transport with her on it. And so they go, they attack it, they held them up at gunpoint. Who comes out? But the main leader, who wants them arrested, the Empire, and the Empire is standing there not really doing anything. He says, "What are you doing? Arrest them, do whatever." And so the Hera's father is wanting to kill him, but doesn't.
Yeah.
And because he doesn't kill it, Crosshair then ends up taking out the leader, and then they now frame him and says, "You're wanted for arrest for killing the leader."
Yeah.
So now they have reason to get the Syndulas in trouble. They have the leader gone, which they didn't want anyway. Exactly. They wanted full control. Yeah. So now they have full control. They have the leaders in trouble, and now they have them framed. And so this is how they're going to try to enslave the planet, essentially.
And I think, is that Admiral Piet that's there?
I don't think that's Piet.
Piet?
I don't think it's him.
I thought he was the main guy that's running the
was it him? I thought it was the same guy who was doing the training in the second episode with Tarkin. Wasn't that the same guy who was doing the training, who sent Crosshair on the mission? I didn't think it was Piet. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Well, we can
we'll find it later.
But anyway, yeah. So that was an interesting, again, making a deal, right? He made a deal with the Empire, trying to have his way. They didn't care about him. They found a way to get rid of him and get rid of the problem which he brought to light. The Syndulas are a problem. They got them arrested. Hera and Chopper escape, essentially. Yeah. They said, Chopper, get her out of here. And so he drives the ship. And it's so cool that she had Chopper from the get-go.
Yes. So in one of the scenes, there's a fallen Y-Wing. And I think we learned in Rebels that Hera saved Chopper from a Y-Wing that crashed.
Oh, okay.
And then we kind of built them and fixed them, and then they've been together from there. So it was interesting to see that there was wreckage of a Y-Wing in one of the backgrounds that I noticed. So that might have been how she first got him, and they've been together ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah, that long, strong bond together.
Yeah, which is really awesome. So we have a bit of Kanan's past, we have a bit of Hera's past. Are we going to see them bump past in the Bad Batch? Are we going to see them?
I would hope.
Are we going to see a Zeb? And get a little bit of his background before they all come together. It'll be interesting if somehow the Bad Batch somehow pieces them together.
Yes.
And I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But it's a really cool premise, because I don't think they're going to do a Rebels prequel much more than a sequel, or like you said, a live action. So I thought it was really, really awesome how they showed her background, her fighting spirit, her being wet under the ears, but at the same time hungry for that life, and being, even at a young age, being useful and being able to learn how to spy and learn how to even fly the ship and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Now, what was also interesting is the next episode is going to be a continuation of this.
Oh, it is. The way it ended, it has to be.
So this will be another arc. So maybe there are 2 or 3 more episodes of this. Who else will we see? Like you said, will we see Kanan join up and help?
Well, Kanan's on a different planet. The last we saw him, he was on that stone planet. I don't think he jumped on a ship and then ran off. But if she escapes and they both end up in the same place, that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah. Or maybe he went there to hide, thinking that the rebellion or the Imperials wouldn't go there, and now they're there and trying to take over. Lots of possibilities, but I would love to see more about the Rebels and their backgrounds and their early stages and things like that. So I'm happy there's going to be a second episode to show more of Hera and Chopper.
Will we see how they bump into Sabine?
Yeah,
she'll be very young. I mean, she's like Ezra's age, and they're the youngest on the crew, so they might be too young at this point. But we do know that when they meet Ezra, which is in the very first episode of Rebels, the other team is already put together. So Zeb, Hera, and at least Kanan have a history.
I think
Sabine is the newest recruit.
Is, pretty new and still wants to get involved and be told about what's going on and things like that. So maybe it might be too soon for Sabine, but Zeb, Zeb could definitely be. Yeah, it could be huge for Zeb or anyone else in that matter.
Yeah, and I thought the exchange between Omega and Hera is trying to show the difference with how Tech and them are very military oriented, and say, this is how you fly and this is how you think. And Hera's like, it's about a feeling. It's not about following rules and stuff. And you want to be a good pilot, you have to feel, you have to know when to turn and when to shoot and how to fly and be a great pilot. And that's what separates a Poe Dameron and a Hera to a droid pilot who is this is the best computational move to give me the highest success versus sometimes the smallest chance of success, the riskiest is what pays off the best.
Exactly.
And that's the difference, right? So I think Omega trying to understand it's how you feel it, and it's more than just following rules, and Omega's again learning that there's more to the galaxy than just what the clones know.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we'll get more of the Bad Batch because I think they'll be the ones that are sent in to save Hera's parents.
Yes.
And things like that. And will this be how Hera's mom dies?
Is this how they meet up with Crosshair because he's on the planet?
Yeah, yeah. So there's lots of possibilities there because they'll obviously have to cross Hera again, come across him, and it'll be interesting to see. Will he join the team? Will he forever be lost? Will he turn into an elite, Dark Trooper or Stormtrooper or anything?
So here's my prediction. So he looks like he's a Death Trooper with like the greenish visor and the black suit. I think what's going to happen as we taper off in the last 5 episodes, I think that they're going to get him back in this arc. And the Imperial leader guy that's there, because remember, he's doing tests and they're trying to see if the clones are viable. And they're having clones train the Stormtroopers. And I think this will be the last point. When the clone that has a chip, they're able to free him and turn him over, they're going to say, that's it. Clones are worthless. We're just going to go Stormtroopers and cut the clones off.
But they have his DNA, essentially. Will
Correct.
They turn him in? Will this be the first part of Death Trooper program?
I think so. So I think he's going to start off the elite. And the people who work with him are going to, know some cool stuff. But when they realize that the Bad Batch were able to get him back away from the Empire,
they go
get rid of the chip,
human.
They're going to say, okay, clones are cut off. Maybe kill the clones
Yeah.
and hire Stormtroopers to kill the clones.
And will this be where the
wipe
uprising
them
of
out.
Camino starts? And then they have that battle
That's very
there
possible.
as well, which would be amazing because that's a great.
That's a great
storyline.
finale, and then that's the official at the end of the Bad Batch. Now it's Stormtroopers, clones are gone. We've officially made the change.
Yeah, there's only a few clones left still that are just they've been left behind, like Rex and so on.
Wolf, Gregor, all those guys.
Yeah. So it'll be very interesting to see that because we've seen a lot of calls to Rebels and Clone Wars, which is great. So I'd love to see more Rebels called outs as well.
Yeah, and I think we'll probably see some more bounty hunters. We have Cad Bane and Fennec, and I think that we're going to see more of that to kind of maybe spill out their stories and kind of give us more. Maybe there'll be a bounty hunter show and kind of what's going on in the world of bounty hunter besides Mandalorian. It would be cool to see Cad Bane move on, Boba Fett, him kind of get to where he is, a notorious bounty hunter before Episode 5. Who else is out there? Bosk.
Yes.
All these big names we see in Empire, none of them have really had stories outside of the book. So seeing Zuckuss, Forlom, and even Dengar, outside of the Freemakers, seeing these characters and seeing what made them so ruthless, what made them the best of the best, have stories interact with, this is a perfect way to connect the old with the new, but keep it interesting and keep it fresh. And again, a lot of people are like, oh, Jedi Force, it's always been done. It's the same old. As much as I love that, I could see them doing more bounty hunter and non-Force special stories, and it does well.
Yeah, definitely. And it adds to the universe and the character development and backgrounds. Because, Darth Vader obviously called the ones that he called in for bounty hunters because they're the best of the best. Yeah. But what made them the best of the best, and how did it become that way? So it'd be great to see that. We see a little bit of it in Clone Wars at the beginning when Bobo teams up with a few of them and meets,
he does a mission with Aurra Sing, Bosk, Cad Bane himself, and I think there's one more.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Greedo.
No, there's another guy, but I don't remember his name.
Yeah, but they're starting together, and it's okay, they've had run-ins with each other, and then there's IG-88. He's out there. Is he somehow a genetic? Not a genetic. He's a robot, but leftover remnants of IG-11 somehow translated through these other droids, or is he just a new version of that droid? We'll have to kind of see how they fit these characters in, but I would love to see more of these backgrounds, and especially if these characters again make friendships and introduce new characters into the lore. So we have Fennec Shand introduced in Mandalorian, who's now going to be a standard in Book of Boba Fett.
That's right.
But kind of see her background, and then Cad Bane, we don't see him in Empire, so maybe he does die. Maybe he gets killed. Maybe he gets betrayed by another bounty hunter. Maybe we'll see that in whether it's this show or the next show that kind of pieces us between. But why not show us a little bit more about these other killers who we know survive? What makes them the best of the best? It'd be awesome to see them cross paths.
100%. I would love it. Definitely.
Awesome. So any last thoughts about Devil's Deal?
No, I'm just looking forward to it. It felt really short for some reason. When it cut off, I was like,
it ends with the Hera hiding behind a pole as the it's not, is it crosshairs or just regular Imperial troopers? I can't remember who's there.
I think it's just
just like a battalion kind of arrives and is I guess looking for them. So it ends with her hiding behind a pillar and it kind of fades to black. good episode.
Yeah, looking forward to it. But like we said, definitely, if you've seen Rebels, this is really for you. And really for the the Star Wars fans more than just casual fans. Casual fans will still enjoy it. You can learn about Hera. You don't need to know that she's a rebel in this episode. That's down the line. But this is the beginning of her, I guess, experience and future. But so it's good for the casual fan, but really, really great for the true Star Wars fanatics and fans.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Definite watch. I can say that my son was a little disappointed that there was very little Bad Batch. He's like, "This is called Bad Batch. Where's Bad Batch? This is so disappointing. I can't believe this." And I was like, "But aren't you excited to see? Like, you love Rebels. Aren't you excited to see her? Aren't you excited to see the character?" But a lot of them were, Twi'leks and clones and just people you don't know. Mm-hmm. That I guess for younger kids, it doesn't draw the interest. The big Star Wars fans, that have seen everything and have read all the stuff. That's for us. And I think it's for the younger audience. They're here to watch the show for the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
And when they're missing, it's a little disheartening. Despite having a favorite like Hera or Kanan show up, they want more of the Bad Batch. So I think it was cool that they had that meeting. I think the next episode will help make this episode stronger.
Yeah,
as
they
it's like
need
a
to have
two-parter.
Bad Batch in there a lot more because both my kids were the same way. They're like, "Why is it called Bad Batch if it was just about the Bad Batch were in for one episode, like one scene essentially?" And I was like, yeah. I did the same explanation kind of thing. But yeah, they were kind of disheartened. And my daughter's a huge Omega fan, so she wanted to see more of her and things like that. But
if this is a 3-episode arc, which I think it might be, and then the next 3 is the finale, if you watch it like a movie, then it makes sense. It's like, oh, okay, now the Bad Batch come. Oh, now they're going to come and potentially save Hera. Hera goes off with them, and then, maybe flies a bit, whatever, helps them. And maybe they're pinned down, so Hera has to fly the ship with them. And they're like, oh, okay, and she they drop her off with Sid, and Sid gets her into rebellion. We'll kind of see how it happens, but I think they're going to be an instrumental in kind of getting her and getting this rebellion started, getting her with Saw Gerrera or however they connect and getting things going. So I think when you watch the episodes all together as like one event, one movie, I think it would be more complete, and I think the kids would enjoy it more.
I agree. Yeah, it's hard because this was just a half an hour section of it essentially, and it just wasn't the most for them and most entertaining. But yeah, definitely as a 3-part movie, it would be amazing. Like this is just a beginning, opening, and then you get the more meat and more action down the line. But it would be a great storyline as well.
Absolutely. Well, there you have it, folks. That's our thoughts on Devil's Deal. An excellent episode. We definitely recommend you watch it. But let us know what you think. Drop a comment below, like the video, click that subscribe button, and as always, friends, stay nerdy.